Hey friends, glad to see you. It's January 7th, 2022. No, it's not 2022, is it? It's 2023. Yeah, if it seems like a year got away from you, like it did from me, you probably want to hear this story. So, 2022 was one of those years that there were good things that happened. And it was any year that you're alive is a good year, right? And 2022 was a good year in a lot of ways, but it also felt like a wasted year to me. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a story of, sort of where I've been, some of the things that we have coming up, some exciting announcements. I mean, they're exciting for me. The six of you at watch, I'm not sure how exciting they'll be for you. Although I appreciate every six people that watch, all six of you, I appreciate it. But 2022 was one of those years that I was coming out of first discovering that I had this heart abnormality. Now, I went and it was October 31st, 2021, where I went to have, I turned 50 years old in 2021, so I went to have the infamous Roto-Rooter job, if you know what I'm saying. And as I was checking in, they were checking to see my heart rate and all that, and they hooked me up to a machine, and my heart rate was reading really, really low, in like the 30s. And they said, well, obviously that's not right. So they thought it was their piece of equipment, so they could hear my heart rate, as they took the stethoscope and everything. And they said, well, you're not in any danger. There's nothing wrong with it from what we can tell. So they went ahead and did the procedure. And as I came out of the procedure, I was talking to the anesthesiologist, and he said, look, I'm not a cardiologist or anything. He said, but I think the heart monitor just isn't picking up your heartbeat because of the way that it reads signals. He says, it sounds to me like you have PVCs. Now, this was the first I'd ever heard of that, premature ventricular contraction, and it's not a problem with the rhythm of your heart, as in, is it beating, is the heart as a whole beating in a regular motion, but it's one area of the heart, in this instance, my left ventricle, that beats just a slight second before the rest of the heart when it's supposed to. And everyone has PVCs. So the problem was I had way more than everyone normally has. And I went through testing, and they wanted to make sure, hey, was there something causing that issue? And so they went through and they gave me the stress test, and then I did the nuclear portion of it, which is when they do the X-ray outside of just the stress test. That's when stress test is when you're running on the treadmill, and they're checking you, and they got you hooked up to everything. But they also did the X-ray with the X-ray that moves around you after they inject you with the stuff that will show up on the X-ray. I'm trying not to get into the medical depths of it. Then I had a catheterization where they went into my wrist, went into my heart, looked at all the valves, looked at the all the main aorta, and just looking to see if there's any blockages, and they didn't find any blockages. And so I got a clear bill of health from that. Cholesterol was good. So the cardiologist, there's two different kinds. There's the kind who work on the plumbing, so to speak, and the kind who work on the electricity. He said, I'm going to refer you to the electrical guy. So went to that cardiologist, and he said, well, let's try this. He said, a lot of times we can medically get the heart to do what we want it to do by giving it some medication. So they gave me some blood pressure medication that helped regulate my heartbeat. And that did a really good job at doing what it was supposed to do. And then my doctor added, she said, well, with this particular medication that you're on, it can agitate your gout. So I'm going to give you this other medication. It's supposed to be good for gout. So she gave that to me in March or April of last year. And I went through May, June, July, and I had the worst summer that I ever had because my gout actually got bad. Now, I didn't make the link that it was this pill that the doctor gave me until my daughter, who's a pharmacist, said, Dad, that pill is supposed to help you with gout, which you haven't been struggling with, but your doctor was thinking was an issue sort of prematurely, trying to not react to it, but be proactive. And I think you should stop taking that pill, so why don't you contact your doctor? So I contacted the doctor, she said okay, and it was a really small pill, it's 10 milligrams, so it wasn't hardly anything. And then within a week, I was cleared up. Now, I missed vacation last week. I couldn't walk. I was actually laid up in bed for over a week because both of my feet were swollen and with gout. And no matter what I was eating, it didn't eliminate the gout. And I've been on a whole food plant-based diet for a while. And the inactivity of this last year and that, even though I was, sticking to the diet, I put on some weight, so I've got some work to do on that end. But I'm feeling really a lot better. And, after that happened, I was able to start doing some stuff and getting some projects taken care of. And, things just got better in a lot of aspects until August hit. And then at the end of August, my father died. And that was a lot harder than I really thought it was going to be, and it still is hard. I have dreams of him and stuff, but the thing is I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, and he was a believer in Jesus Christ. I truly believe that he and I are going to be reunited one day. And even with that hope, though, it was hard. So, that set me, I don't know, I just didn't have a whole lot of ambition to get out and do a bunch of stuff for a little while. But then, we got into September, October, and have good days, bad days, but a piece of land that we've been looking for came up. We weren't looking at this particular piece, but we've been looking for some land, and it had some, criteria that we really wanted to make sure was met. It had to be close to the house because we wanted to do some things on it, and we've got some big plans. Long story short, and I know this is way too long, and I apologize for that, but long story short is my wife and I bought another piece of property, and it's somewhere between 33 and 35 acres, and I'm still learning the property. I'm going to take you on a tour of it. It's hard to believe, but it's January 7th, and we've been in possession of the land since right before Christmas. It took a lot longer than we anticipated. The company that we used and went through for borrowing for land, and no, I'm not independently wealthy. I did put some money down on it. It was a pretty good chunk of money, but I financed the rest. And when you buy land that doesn't have any improvements, the only improvement that it has is it has a pole barn on it. I'm going to show that to you, but they have different lenders for that. So it takes your lending field down very immensely. So we went through the Farm Credit Bureau, a farm credit lender, to buy land, unimproved land, and they were in the process of being bought by another company. It just took longer than it should have. I really wanted to get out there, but we've got some pretty big plans. No electricity on the land. We are planning on doing a couple things, and you're going to see some of these projects that are going to come up. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to put a concrete floor, lights, electric box into the pole barn. Pole barn right now is going to run off of a generator. I just purchased a generator. I'm going to show that to you and share it with you as I do that project. And then we're also going to build a cabin. Now the cabin is going to be a shed conversion. We've got a 12 by 24 shed at our land in up in northwestern, a little further in northwestern Pennsylvania, right on the New York border. That particular, we live in northwestern Pennsylvania, and that's where all this takes place. But it's right up on the New York border. So we're going to move that down there, and we're going to begin the process of our first off-grid little cabin. And so we're going to bring you on that journey too. And it's the middle of winter, and we've had weird weather. Like I say, it is snowing today. You probably can't see it just because I'm sitting with a bunch of rhododendrons, which are evergreens, in my backdrop. But it's about 33 degrees, and it's snowing, but it's not freezing. The ground is not freezing. It's a muddy mess. So I actually need some frozen ground. I just, at my house, which is about 9 minutes away from the land that we bought, at my house we just took down a bunch of trees. Got a few more to take down, but then they're all laying down all over the place, and it looks like a logger's yard more than it looks like my wife's yard. So thankfully it's the winter time, and not normally, we don't spend a lot of time out in the backyard because she'd probably kill me. But if I show you right here, there's a whole bunch of logs. Right over there's a whole bunch of logs. Anyways, we've got plans that include, we may be milling some logs with a chainsaw mill. I know you've probably seen that before, but we're going to do some off-grid cabins. And I told the kids, if you want an off-grid cabin, we're going to build it. And we're going to try to build something special for our family. We've got some other plans with potentially planting some pumpkins, a big pumpkin patch, Christmas tree, a bunch of different things like that. Christmas trees and a bunch of different things like that. So come along for the journey. This year, Lord willing, we're going to get a lot of stuff done. God bless you. Thanks for joining me. And I'm getting a little chilly sitting out here, so maybe I'll go in and warm up. All right. See you later. All right. Welcome to the new land. We've got about 33 acres. It's about, we're right about in the middle. 6 acres of woods or so, 9 acres of field, and I guess it's about 7 acres of woods, and then 16, 17 acres of field this way. Here's our pole barn. We brought the camper over, set it up in here, get it out of the weather. And it's going to be sort of our home base as we begin the process. I'll just try to level this up a little bit. Begin the process of building some off-grid cabins here. It's not remote. We actually have a fair amount of road frontage here. And we've got some other plans for that also. Amy has plans. You can see the outhouse over here. The creek in that is over this way. From the new land. What do you think, kids? I'm thinking a cabin like right here with a porch that sits right here. So, a little bit snowy day. And it's pretty beautiful out. More to come. All right, so I'm going to take you on a little tour here of the land. We're just going to do a drive. It's a little bit wet. Some snow on top of it, but it's pretty wet. So the back of the land over here on the left, there's a old railroad right away. Now we can use that to connect to the other side of the land, the other side of the woods, but we're going to drive through this area back here. Which is really sort of the southern side of the land. I've been going through here. There's, you know, you can see maybe people have passed through this way before, but these tracks are from me driving it a few times here. Sort of on this back piece. And these woods that are ahead of us, the property goes into those, I don't know, maybe 100 foot. So we've got plans, all kinds of plans for the land. I'll be sort of sharing those as we go forward, but one of the plans has to deal with putting some off-grid cabins on the property. Right now the property does not have electricity, and once I turn towards the west, which is bordered by the road over here, I'll explain, because you'll see some neighbors across the road. So the property goes off back to the left there to the railroad grade, and back into these woods a little bit. There's another little creek back in there. Facing north and west, and you can see across the road there are some houses. Those houses have electricity, but the electric line runs actually behind their houses. It's close to the road down at this end of the property, but not anywhere near where the pole barn is. So it's, I was hoping to see if you could see a pole, but you can't because they're in the backyard there. Anyways, here's a tree I gotta take out. This goldenrod, the first time I came through here, was still green. It hadn't bloomed quite yet, but it was about 5 foot tall, 5.5 foot tall. And then it had all bloomed, and I'd driven through here, and you couldn't see the Jeep when it was back here. Definitely couldn't see out to the road and everything. So, off to the left here. Let me see if we can stop shaking here. Off to the left, there's a little bit of woods, and it goes into the woods less on this front side than it does at the back because it angles back. And then there's we can get out through the road over here, but we're gonna go along the fence line along the road out here. See there on the left where we get back out to the road. I don't really have any neighbors north, south, and east of me. Anywhere near close. I mean, there's obviously people who own land, but across the road there's some houses, and I know one of the guys who lives across the road on the northern tract of land. just sort of surveying everything. Then these pines, they sort of create a shield for a few acres here that are by the pole barn, which you see right there. Pretty soft. If you look at how this is no longer goldenrod, this is that reedy stuff that sort of grows in wet ground. There's wet spot. It's a flow seep. You can see it on the satellite. It goes sort of through the land out towards the road. Now we're gonna hop up on the railroad right away. On the left, there's a beaver pond here on the right that when I first looked at the land, it was almost completely dry. And of course there's this widowmaker that you drive under, but beavers look like they moved on possibly. But this outflow over here on the left, which I showed you, where the creek runs down through, that all goes and gets filtered through the old, where there used to be beavers in that beaver pond. So now we're going to come out onto the northern part of the property, and when we turn you'll be able to see the neighbors across the road over here. And this part of the property is a little bit narrower. Like they say, depending on where you look, 33 to 35 acres. So we've got some plans to possibly put a cabin back on this side of the creek over here. One of my gates. Well, you know what? Let me take you out by the road. We'll just bypass this gate up here. Drive the road out on this side of the property, the northern side of the property, and this is my closest neighbor to my side of the road. You see up there that farm. have some hopeful intentions of planting some Christmas trees, doing some pumpkins. This year we're going to start with some pumpkins. I'm going to get some trees planted just because the best day to plant a tree is yesterday, or 20 years ago. Second best day is today. So you can see this piece of property, that guy, that neighbor, he used to rent out and use, from my understanding, my pole barn. Store stuff in it. So it looks like he had a path that came through. Swing around here to the back side of the property. About 6 acres on this side of the property. About 6 acres of woods. And then 21, 22, 23 acres over on that other side. You can see we get some water seep off the hill back here behind us in this section. No big deal. Going through. For me, might be a big deal for some people. Then we'll go across the railroad grade. Again, the woods on the right. Can't drive through those quite yet. But I would imagine this summer I'm going to get some time. I don't know, we'll have to figure out if it's even possible to cross that creek. It's got some pretty good banks on it. Got some trees that are falling down over here on the property that we'll have to cut up and clean up. Entrance in here, which is a little steeper. And back at the pole barn, as you can see the outhouse over there. All right, thanks for going on the tour with me, and look for a lot of cool stuff to happen. Look at that. The outhouse door is open. I'm gonna go fix that.
All right, homeward bound.